Have you ever felt like your mind is stuck in a loop, replaying old memories, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet? You try to move forward, but something keeps pulling you back. It's exhausting. It's like running a race while carrying a backpack full of rocks you didn't even realize you packed. But what if I told you that peace isn't something far away, and clarity isn't reserved for monks or gurus? What if the only thing standing between you and your breakthrough is what you refuse to let go of? Today, we're not talking about some fairy tale or ancient myth. This is about you and how you can finally begin again, not by doing more, but by learning the art of release. Meet Kai. He's not a monk. He's not a philosopher. He's just a regular person trying to make sense of the chaos we call life. Kai wakes up each morning with a storm already brewing in his mind. Deadlines, doubts, the pressure to be better, faster, more successful. Every ping of his phone is a reminder that he's not where he should be. He scrolls through social media and sees everyone else seemingly winning at life, while he's stuck replaying the same worries on loop. Did I make the right choice? What if I mess this up? Why can't I just feel still? He's doing everything right on the outside, checking off goals, staying productive, but inside, it's loud, messy, heavy. Kai doesn't know it yet, but the real issue isn't what's around him. It's what he's carrying within. And that's exactly where his journey begins. Not on a mountaintop, but in the middle of his own mind. One evening, Kai found himself staring at his own reflection, not in a mirror, but in the glow of his laptop screen. Tabs open, notifications buzzing, yet he felt miles away from everything. That night, something shifted. Not a grand revelation, just a quiet exhaustion. A sense that something had to change. Not outside, but within. So he did something unusual. He shut everything down. No more scrolling. No more noise. Just silence. The next morning, he signed up for a weekend mindfulness retreat. Not because it sounded magical, but because he needed space. Real space. Not just physical, but mental. When he arrived, he didn't find monks in robes or deep chants echoing in the hills. He found stillness, and in that stillness, a mentor, a guide who didn't offer answers, but asked questions that cut through the clutter, the kind that made Kai pause, made him wonder why he was so afraid to sit with himself. That was the beginning. Not a breakthrough moment, but a turning point. The first time he realized that peace isn't discovered, it's remembered. And it starts when we stop running from silence. On the second day of the retreat, Kai sat in a quiet garden surrounded by nothing but the sound of wind and his own breath. The mentor handed him a clear glass filled to the brim with water. "Hold this," the mentor said, "but don't spill a drop, and don't put it down." Kai took it carefully, thinking it was some sort of balance exercise. Minutes passed. His arms started to ache. 10 minutes. 15. The glass didn't get heavier, but it felt unbearable. Finally, the mentor spoke again. "Strange, isn't it? Same glass, same water, yet the longer you hold it, the heavier it feels." Kai nodded, confused but intrigued. "That's your mind," the mentor continued. "Thoughts, worries, fears, they may seem small at first, but hold on to them long enough and they'll wear you down." It wasn't a lesson written on a whiteboard. It was lived, felt, a simple metaphor that cracked something open in Kai. He realized he wasn't tired because of the world around him. He was tired because he never let anything go. That moment didn't give him all the answers, but it gave him something better, a different way to see. And sometimes, seeing differently is all it takes to begin again. That night, as Kai lay beneath a sky untouched by city lights, something began to shift. Not outside, but inside. For the first time in what felt like years, he wasn't trying to fix himself. He wasn't fighting his thoughts or chasing clarity like a destination. He simply noticed the way his breath felt, the way the wind moved through the trees, the way silence didn't feel empty anymore, but full. Full of answers he never had space to hear before. The lesson from the glass stayed with him, and something deeper took root. Maybe the goal was never to escape the noise, but to stop letting it control the volume. He started observing his thoughts like passing cars on a street, some loud, some messy, but none of them had to be followed. That changed everything. The pressure eased. The ache in his chest softened, not because his life got easier, but because his relationship with it did. He was no longer the one gripping the glass until it hurt. He was the one learning to put it down, again and again, one breath at a time. That's the shift, not in the world, in the way you choose to see it. By the end of the retreat, Kai wasn't transformed. He wasn't suddenly free from anxiety or doubt, but something subtle had changed, something real. On the final morning, he stood barefoot on the grass, watching the sun rise, not for beauty, but for understanding. And in that quiet moment, it clicked. Peace wasn't a reward waiting at the end of the path. It was the path. It was the way he breathed through discomfort, the way he gave himself permission to pause, the way he no longer needed every question answered before taking the next step. He realized that letting go didn't mean giving up. It meant trusting that he didn't have to carry everything alone. That clarity didn't come from overthinking, but from making space for stillness. The world hadn't changed. His job was still waiting. His life was still full of unknowns, but he would return with a different lens, a quieter one, a braver one. Not because he had it all figured out, but because he finally understood. He didn't need to. That realization didn't make him perfect. It made him human again. And that was more than enough. Kai's story isn't just his own. It mirrors something that so many of us quietly carry. We live in a world that glorifies doing, chasing, achieving. But rarely do we talk about the weight of never pausing, of constantly filling our minds, our calendars, our hearts, without ever asking, what can I let go of today? The truth is, peace doesn't come when life gets easier. It comes when we start responding to life differently. And that shift begins the moment you realize that stillness isn't emptiness. It's space. Space for clarity, for breath, for being human without guilt. You don't need a retreat to find it. You don't need a guru. You just need the courage to stop right where you are and listen, to slow down long enough to hear the thoughts that have been screaming beneath your surface. And when you do, you might discover that most of what weighs you down isn't yours to carry anymore. That's your turning point, Not tomorrow, not when you have more time, but now, in this exact breath. Because the path to peace isn't a distant destination, it's a daily decision. If something in this story spoke to you, even just for a moment, let that moment matter. Don't rush past it. Take 60 seconds today, right now even, to pause. Close your eyes. Inhale, exhale. Ask yourself, what's one thought I've been gripping too tightly? And then, gently loosen your hold. That's how healing begins. Not with a grand gesture, but with one quiet choice. If this video gave you a moment of stillness or helped you see your life from a softer place, you can give that back. Share it with someone who might be carrying more than they show. And if you want more space like this in your day, more reminders to breathe, to release, to begin again, subscribe. Not because numbers matter, but because your peace does. Every view, every like, every comment here isn't just a metric. It's a whisper that says, you're not alone. So if you're still here, thank you, truly. Let this be your signal to slow down, just enough to remember who you are without the noise. The world will wait, but your peace won't.